All right. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tullahoma. So welcome to those of you at church, those on Zoom, and those live streaming. Today is Sunday, July 23, 2023. So we are about a month into summer, and the theme for today's readings will be following a theme of summer. So the first reading comes from Thich Nhat Hanh. When you plant lettuce, if it does not grow well, you don't blame the lettuce. You look for the reasons it's not doing well. It may need fertilizer, or more water, or less sun. You never blame the lettuce. Yet, if we have problems with our friends or families, we blame the other person. But if we know how to take care of them, they will grow well, like the lettuce. Blaming has no positive effect at all, nor does trying to persuade using reason and argument. That is my experience. No blame, no reasoning, no argument, just understanding. If you understand and you show that you understand, you can love, and the situation will change. So that's from Thich Nhat Hanh. We'll now go to our chalice lighting. So if someone there at church can light the chalice, please. And I'll light, yeah, Tom, that's great. And I will light ours here.
The flame of our chalice this morning is a symbol of the warmth and brightness of our connections. The flame lights our way back together again from our separate summer lives, and it lights our way forward into this new church of promise and renewal.
We now go to announcements. So if you have an announcement, just raise your hand and we'll go around the room, around Zoom, and take care of announcements. Rick, yes.
Yeah, we've restarted the Wednesday night get-together discussion group, and we're focusing on a collection of short essays, and I don't remember a lot about it, quite frankly, but we'll do one or two a night. We start at 7:15 here at church. We're also doing Zoom with Chuck and Annie basically leading the session. So y'all come. We got great food, somewhat great coffee, and we're having a good time. So please join us by Zoom. Chuck puts up the link, and are here in church. It usually follows us in about 7:15, really.
All right, other announcements. Carrie, yes.
It's newsletter time. Please send any information you want in the newsletter to me.
All right, yes, thank you. Anything else? So next Sunday's speaker. Carrie, do you want to cover that or should I?
I think you should.
All right. So next Sunday is the fifth Sunday of the month, and Jack Kennington will be speaking. And he is I guess a grief counselor, and there will be potentially, if there's interest, a grief recovery group meeting at church starting in August. So that's what he will be talking about. So it'll be grief recovery will be grief will be the topic next Sunday. Also, if you wish to contribute and support the church financially, you can do so by writing a check, sending it to P.O. Box 331 in Tullahoma, or our treasurer is Costa Bryce. You can hand her a check, and that would work also. Any other announcements? Carrie?
Put it in the shaker box in the back of the room.
Yeah, that works also. Very good. Anything else? All right, we will move on then. We have a responsive reading, and Cass and I will be reading it.
Right, this one is new from the Unitarian website. And it is, the title is The 21st Century.
21st century church.
Okay.
So, here we go. We see the public life of our friends and neighbors and wonder if we are living up to our potential.
We feel the inner doubts and questions, and we try to live life fully, creating the life we want by our words and deeds.
Life feels like it's moving too fast. We cannot do all that we want or need to do. We long for us all to slow down.
Life is moving too fast. We have but one short life to do all that can be done. We long for all of us to speed up.
Are we missing out by living the life that feels true to us?
Are we missing out by doing so much that we simply just cannot be?
In this moment, we let go of expectations, of fears, of worries, and we accept that life is exactly what it ought to be.
In this moment, we let go of the past and the future, living into the moment and accepting that life is exactly as we make it.
All right. So now it is time for our guest speaker. So Stan Bumgarner is our speaker today. So Stan, it is all yours.
Good morning to everybody out there, and good morning to everybody here. It's nice to see you all. I'm going to get a little bit of water. And I need to do something with this.
Yeah, you do. I think that works. But
Exactly.
it's a book of it really needs to be readjusted.
Wrong way.
There, that's perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Move it a little bit. Okay. Is that it?
Too much.
Too much?
That's good.
Okay. You can see all three chins when it's like that. So years ago, let me start this way. I intended to do this opening reading first. If you want to follow along, it's consistent with our theme that we've had all morning. And it's 419 in our hymnal, if you'd like to look. And follow along. Okay. Everybody with me? So, look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence. The bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Some of you know that 2 lifetimes ago, I owned a comedy nightclub. And so I used to work with a lot of really interesting people and very funny, clever wordsmiths. And there was one guy in particular, his name was Michael Finney. And Mike was one of my favorites. He was a big crowd favorite in Baton Rouge. And he was a magician. But he was also one of those guys that could do magic and was very funny. And he would always start he would come out on stage to great fanfare and music, and he would always have these flamboyant satin suits on, and his hair was spiked, and he had a top hat and a cane, top hat and a stand, and he would put the top hat on the stand, and then he would look at the audience and say, "How many of you here enjoy the great art of magic performed to perfection?" And everybody would clap. And he'd pause for a second and say, "This could be a major disappointment for most of you." So I'll start off this way. How many of you like to hear a greatly presented sermon on grace? This could be a major disappointment. The one thing Michael didn't say was, "Prepare to be amazed." That kind of conjured, prepare to be amazed. And I always appreciate that about him. But that's what I'd like to talk about this morning. My black lab, Poppy, is difficult to amaze. In fact, I think she's bored most of the time. She's out in the truck now, bored still, waiting for me to come out and walk her around. But Poppy's, I can look at her, and she's lying on her bed in our front room, and I can almost see the wheels going, and she's thinking, "I am built for so much more than this. I'm supposed to be out chasing, retrieving ducks and jumping around in the marsh, and at best we get to go out on the leash and walk down the street." And even then, she sounded kind of ho-hum about it. I mean, we walk along, and she's excited at first, and then she sniffs a couple of mailboxes. And then after a while, I was like, "Oh God, him again." You know, she knows the route very well. She's ready at that point to get back home and to the bed. The one time that Poppy really gets amazed, I mean excited, is when I say anything that has to do with the word truck, because she knows she's about to go somewhere. So we have to be really careful in my house. At times we actually have to spell the word. You know, Kim will say we need the T-R-U-C-K to take that stuff to the dump, because if we don't, and she hears the word truck, Poppy's by my side the whole time because she doesn't want to miss out on an adventure. And so when I say let's go get in the truck, that typically means she's going to ride around town with me and sit up front like a person and watch everything and enjoy new sights and smells, or she's going to sleep for about an hour and a half and then show up in Tracy City, and I open the door and she gets to run around at our house there without a leash, and she really likes that. Now the challenge with Poppy is that she likes to go off on her own and not come back. So I've been trying to train her to just walk the perimeter with me. And that's what was happening a couple weekends ago, and it gave me the impetus to share this story. Because she and I were on patrol, and that means going to check the bird feeders that we used to feed the squirrels. Right? It means checking the perimeter to make sure no more deer are going to come in and eat all the hostas, because those are like celery to them. But Poppy's on patrol, and we walk around. I've actually got a little fountain, like a water, what do they call it, water element or something in the yard. And it's a little pond about this big, and then it goes up some rocks and trickles down. It sounds nice. It looks awful. It sounds nice. I call it the Frog Production Center, because there's always tadpoles in it. So anyway, this particular morning, we're walking around. Poppy's on patrol, and I'm on patrol, and I'm just present and paying attention. And I happened to walk by a hydrangea, and I'll show you guys the picture afterwards. And the hydrangea leaf was about this big, okay? And right in the middle of it was a little green frog that I promise was smaller than the nail on my little finger. In its universe. And it just amazed me that I had noticed, because so many times I don't notice things like that. And so I took a picture of it and I sent it to my daughter and just kind of celebrated the fact that this little moment in my yard had happened and I'd noticed it. There's so many times I don't notice things because I'm distracted. It's the petty tyrants of my life, like money, making money, saving money, spending my money, hopefully in a wise way, spending wisely. But the idea of how we become adults and start becoming self-sufficient and creating an income stream for ourselves takes up a lot of mental space. It's necessary, but it's a distraction when you get right down to it. So money to me is one of those things that drives me, that will distract me from the day, the beauty of today. Now another one is people. All the people that I have nothing to do with, but if they would just do what I think they should do, life would be infinitely better for all of us. Because as we all know, it's Trump's fault. Or depending on which church you're in, it might be Obama's fault. Or it might be both of them. It's certainly things that are bigger than me out there. And I really appreciated Tom sharing that. You know, it's amazing what we can do as a small group. But I love that John Prine line, you know, about blow up your TV and throw away the papers, move to the country and buy a little farm and eat a lot of peaches, right? That idea of how distracted I can be by looking at my phone and reading the political news of the day and steaming about it and talk. And I'm not going to do a thing about it other than be irritated. It's just a distraction. Now there are those kind of people that are way, way, way out of my circle, and then there are other people closer to me that I have to be careful not to try to make sure they're doing things the way they're supposed to do. I love that Al-Anon saying, don't forget that helping is the sunny side of control. Helping is the sunny side of control. And I like to help people, but I have to be careful when I'm trying to help my son or help my daughter or help my wife. So that's a distraction from the amazing things around me. And the last one, and there are many, but the things that I identify besides money and people is time. This imaginary thing. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but time seems to be an illusion. Because I know for a fact, my kids used to come here when they were 4 and 5 years old. They called this the Good Snacks Church. Are we going to Hopkinsville? This was when I used to preach here when I was in divinity school. The kids would come down here with me and they would love those German pastries. Okay? They were 4 or 5, and that was just a couple months ago. In time. Okay? Because they're 21, and I don't know how that happened. Time has just passed. Time is an illusion, but it's something that I try to grasp hold of and control and make sure I've got enough of it and make sure I'm on it. Make sure I use it well. But time can be a distraction to me. You know, when some of those magicians say, prepare to be amazed, there's always a pause. We lean in. And we lean in because we want to see what's going to happen. We lean in even though we know it's not magic. We know it's misdirection or illusion. And part of it's like, okay, how did he do that? We want to be smarter than the magician. Right? Prepare to be amazed, and I want to see. But I am prepared to be amazed. I like to do talks out of the Bible because there's some amazing stories there. And one of my favorite ones is the story of the rich young man, which is in all three of the synoptic gospels, right? All 3 out of the 4 synoptic gospels. There's a likelihood that it's true because it shows up in all the stories. And the other part that shows up in all the stories is just a couple of verses before. And in each instance, Jesus is resting in the shade. He's apart from everyone, and some little kids want to talk to him. And the disciples act like his entourage and say, I'm sorry, like kind of, go away, kids, you bother me. Jesus is busy now, you can't see him. And Jesus hears what's happening and goes, no, you don't get it. You have to have the mind of a child, or you won't hear what I'm saying. You won't grasp the new world I envision. You have to have the mind of a child. That is so hard to do. Because I got to make money. I got to take care of all these people and get them to act right. And besides that, I have limited time every day. So my message this morning is to challenge each of us, at least today, to take a moment to walk around the yard. Look inside the flowers growing in your yard. See something here. Take just a moment to be present in our lives in a way that helps us notice the little miracles that are going on around us, the little sparks of creation and beauty that we walk past every day, and be present to them. Lean down and watch some ants go across your sidewalk and fight the urge to go get the bug spray. Can't have those things in my house. Listen to the cicadas and the frogs. Just think about what it is, what a miracle it is that we're even here. I don't recall requesting this. I was just born. And I showed up, and all of this was just waiting for me. And so it is for all of us. We just try to figure it out once we get here. But if we try to practice being innocent and childlike and open-minded and curious, we can all be prepared to be amazed.
All right. So we will now go to our closing. And we'll do. So thank you very much, Stan. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, so we'll now go to our closing as we leave this friendly place. So Cass and I will sing, If you guys want to stand up and sing along, we'll see how that works. The timing may be off a little, but let's go for it.
As we leave this friendly place, looking right to every face, may the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
All right. Let's take about a 10-minute break. Come back a little longer than 10. Let's come back at 5 till 11.